So Fry to kick. 5 Tigers await inside the box. In it comes. And Rory, the nearest Tiger there, got a head on it. Now Fry with the head. Haugen is in, and it's a goal! Ian Haugen scores the goal for the Tigers. 1:16 into the final overtime period. And the Tigers have broke the 0-0 tie. And they now lead 1-0 off of the foot of number 3, Ian Haugen. Welcome to Coach on the Couch. I'm your host, Jason Zaleski. Coach on the Couch, sponsored by Grassland Dairy. Grassland Dairy, exciting and rewarding careers, available now at grassland.com. We are here at the beautiful Marshfield YMCA with Marshfield Tigers boys soccer coach Jeff Molter. Coach, thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so we'll get you re-familiarized with the audience. Tell us how many years you've been coaching and what keeps you coming back every year.
It's got to be 15, 16 years, I'm guessing. You can fact check me if you want, but I'm probably wrong. I don't know. You got to come back for the kids. Mm-hmm. You know, I'd be willing to bet that 98% of everybody that coaches comes back for the kids.
Yeah, it's a great time. You get to be a mentor, a leader,
yes.
And you get to stay active and be involved. All those things that all adds up.
Yeah, it does. And there's a lot more to high school athletics than just high school athletics. A lot of life lessons.
That's exactly right. We learned a few last year.
We did.
During the course of the year. I don't know, that your record won't necessarily show how much fun I had or maybe how much fun you and the kids had. There was a certain playoff game. It was against DC Everest. Overtime winner, Ian Haugen. I don't know if I've had as much fun as that ever. We had people messaging in that their spine was tingling and they were enjoying every single bit of it. So let's start with that one and we'll work our way backwards. But Howie at the end nails what turned out to be the game winner in overtime against Everest.
That was pretty amazing. Probably one of the most fun games I've ever got to coach. In climate weather, the game got moved, 3 or 4 times throughout the day. We were actually supposed to play at 7. We wound up playing, I think, at like 11 or 2. I don't remember.
Yeah, trying to beat the storm that didn't.
And we didn't do that either. But yeah, it was pretty exciting. It was pretty exciting. It was a lot of fun to be involved in. And Howie nailing the game winner at the end. Kudos to him for being in the right spot. He earned it.
He did. A senior, you get to go out like that. That was pretty cool. People that are watching this now, they're seeing that play and all the snow and the mud. Well, not mud, but all the rubber everywhere, and just a crazy game to be involved in. We think back to a couple weeks before that playoff game against those same Evergreens, and a 1-1 tie, and it really just to me looked like both teams just kind of lethargic. Was that maybe just a case of just how weird the season was last year?
I think it's pretty indicative of the mood at that point in time in the season. Because Everest is a better club. We were a better club than we played that day. It just didn't come to fruition on the field.
Wisconsin Valley Conference, as we looked last year, only 2 teams had a winning record. Everybody else kind of settled in there. As you think back on the season, how do you kind of rate that season? Your first at the top spot. How do you kind of rate that season, and maybe some of the fun memories aside from Howie's goal at the end?
Overall, I'd give it probably an 8 or a 9. Yeah. It was exciting. There were a lot of things to overcome with learning new stuff at the school, with the computer programs to deal with the COVID situation, and the testing of the kids and stuff. But all in all, the kids really made it worthwhile, and adapt and overcome. Boy, they were the epitome of it. Had some kids step up really big into some big spots that really made a difference. And it was, I would say an 8 or 9 out of 10 for my season. I enjoyed it. I hope they did too.
It certainly looked like they did. Season ended with a playoff loss over at Wausau West. You look at that score, 4-0, and you say, "Geez, Coach, you got shut out. What a bad day." But it really wasn't, because you played really well that game. In a game earlier in the year, they really took it to you. A huge improvement from early in the year against West to that final game.
Yeah. They did take it to us first game. We were not prepared for what they had. And like you said, in the playoff game, we lost 4-0. However, we played them even to the 72nd minute.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if we just decided to sell the bus or just the wheels fell off that particular bus that day. But we were tired. We were wore out. And it didn't end the way we wanted it to, but all in all, I think it ended okay.
Yeah, first year as a skipper, one that'll go down in history for you. I know it, and you mentioned all the things you had to overcome. I can't even imagine. But congratulations to you on last year. Again, yeah, you're welcome. Again, we're here at the Marshfield YMCA. Coach on the couch with Marshfield Tiger boys soccer coach Jeff Molter. All right, so we're here. We're in the season right now.
We are.
Today's August 17th. You had practice yesterday on the 16th. Tell us about that a little bit and what it's like to get everybody back together again.
It was nice to see the returnings. I think I had 6 to 7 seniors coming back, 4 to 5 varsity starters coming back. We have a slew of underclassmen. I think I have 17 freshmen on board. Numbers are comparable to last year. I think we're 2 less than we were last year. But it's exciting to meet the new kids and sharing their enthusiasm during trial week. So today's day 2. We'll see what they bring this afternoon.
In high school sports, college too, but high school sports, what we're talking about here, senior leadership is such a big deal because you get to be anywhere you want to be during practice as the coach. But on game day, you're relegated to the sideline, and they got to get after it. And you really rely on those seniors out there on the field. So maybe tell us about 1 or 2 of those, or 1 or 2 of those guys that we might hear about during the year.
Gee whiz, you'll probably hear about Gavin Young, Brett Manigal, Lucas Barth. And I'm going to forget people, and I apologize. I'm really sorry.
Don't worry.
Should have brought my cheat sheet.
They'll complain to you later.
I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will. Yeah. My 5 returning starters: Julian Clopton.
Well, we
sorry
can come back to some.
You.
Well, and if you just interrupt me, just blurt out a name later. That's fine to do. But tell us about that group and how you will depend on them on game day.
We're going to depend on them quite a bit. They actually hold each one of my lines. So they're pretty much the captain of their line and sharing the responsibilities of conveying information to the other 11. I'm not a big substituter. I like to shift someone through a line, get them to my ear so I can talk in their ear, and then head them back out right away so we can make adjustments that way. And flow and continuity is important to me when we play.
One thing I like to ask, because I think this is a real neat question, and we like to get your perspective on this. People come out to watch your games, and we'll talk about that, where those happen and how people watch.
Sure.
But when they're out there watching and they're, I'll tell them, ignore the scoreboard and instead watch these things. These things will tell you about this team and tell you how they feel things are going in this game. What are 1 or 2 of those things that people should watch aside from what's on the scoreboard?
I would say continuity of the game, which would mean possession, how long we keep possession, how many passes we string together. I think that'll dictate a good portion of the game. That and probably 80% of games are won in the midfield. Between what would be in hockey, the blue lines.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're exactly right, Coach. The midfield play is so important. And anytime I've come down after a game to interview, I guarantee we've talked about playing in the midfield because on a win or a loss, that's where it all happens. And that change of possession oftentimes is taking place in there. And so anytime you control that midfield, you're going to control possession.
Yes.
You're going to control the continuity. All right, and then, only the second day of practice today, so maybe you don't have everything kind of figured out yet, but tell us about the back end and goalkeeping. And maybe if you don't want to name names, that's fine, but tell us a little bit about the importance, obviously, you got to put on those 5 back there.
Defensively, we've got 2 returning. My 2 backs. My outbacks. I lost my 2 middles to seniorship. They're off to college, unfortunately.
The nerve of them.
Right. We have an excellent goalkeeper coach, and I'm going to have a tough decision to make because we've got, I think, 4 excellent candidates for the keeper spot this year at varsity. But I'm going to rely pretty heavily on my keeper coach, Kristen. She does a fantastic job with those kids, and I think she'll help us make a good decision.
It's a lot easier to win when you can put a 0 on the other half of the scoreboard.
Doesn't hurt.
And those back 5 have a lot to do with that.
Absolutely.
But all 11 really control that scoreboard. There's no doubt about that. You've had some good goal scorers, through the years. And last year I mentioned 1 or 2 of those guys. How important is it in some of these games, maybe even early in the season, to get out, put a goal up right away, and get momentum rolling?
It's always nice to have one in the net. It's tough to play 0-0 going into half. It's nice to have that one buffer to know that you've got the confidence you can do it, you can make the attack. It helps you modify your runs and build confidence throughout the lines. It just makes it a whole lot easier.
Being a first-year coach last year, now into your second year, you've had to, likely establish some rapport and some trust with some of the kids. Tell us about that and how, what that talk was like and how you were able to achieve what you did right away.
I had a real nice rapport with some of the kids early on because I was the assistant varsity coach for 2 years prior, so I knew them as freshmen. So that really helped. They took instruction super well. They took constructive criticism really well. They made the adjustments and things that I asked them to do to try to make the game better. And I think that had a big part to play in it.
Talked about the Valley Conference a little bit when we started. We'll begin to wrap up with this part. As I said, only 2 teams had a winning record to end the conference standings last year. You and your guys get to compete against those teams, largely Division I soccer teams. Postseason, generally Division II in the postseason. So what's the strategy with that? How are you able to kind of, think about that and or at the very least play against some of those top tier teams before you enter the playoffs?
It's nice to have the competition early.
Yeah.
It's always better in my mind to put yourself against better competition to get yourself prepped. It exposes you quicker and it lets you know what you need to work on faster. Fortunately and unfortunately this year, when we go to playoff time, we're actually Division I.
Okay.
So that slide's going to be over to the east, and we're going to be tested early.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, and thank you for that. A quick fact check right there, right? But yeah, in years past, it had always been in that kind of middle zone as far as that's concerned. All right. And then all the home games, of course, are played at Hiding Community Stadium, located on Marshfield's beautiful north side. So, advertise your team a little bit. I know fan support is big. Getting the students out is a big deal. Tell people at home why they should go watch you and the kids play.
The energy in the stadium when there's people in it and the students are involved is just amazing. I can't even describe what it's like to stand on a turf under the lights on a Thursday night or a Friday night, whatever night we're playing, and hear the support from everybody in the stands. The kids love it. I love it. The whole coaching staff loves it. It's a pretty hard atmosphere to be.
Yeah, you can create a real advantage in that way, and it's a great time. So get out, again, Hiding Community Stadium, all the home games, all the schedule on the Marshfield Athletics website. Check it out there. If you can't get to the games, Zaleski Sports, the official broadcast partner of Marshfield Senior High School Athletics, all home events guaranteed. And I think this year we'll be able to get on the road with you a little bit after navigating through last year. How's that? The best word I can come up with there. But we're very much looking forward to it, Coach. Good luck on the season.
Thank you very much, Jason. I appreciate it.
Yeah. All right, guys. Beautiful Marshfield YMCA. If you haven't been down in a while, come down and check it out. If you haven't been here ever, come down and check it out. More Coach on the Couch coming up. Stay tuned.